So it's been quite a while since I can remember seeing my gardens this bare and empty. There's just not a whole lot growing. Bare spot there, bare spot behind it, mostly bare spot there with a few zinnias still kicking, a tart plot behind it, another bare spot, and then a recently mowed cover crop. Now there is a good reason for all this. Two main reasons. One, fall has come early this year. I wasn't ready as I should have been with my transplants. They're still finishing off in the greenhouse. So we're just waiting on some of these plots here where we're going to be putting fall crops in the ground. Reason number two is we have recently stopped doing our market farming operation. So I don't have as much pressure on me to just always be planting and growing things. That means of these 10 plots I have, which I'm going to keep all 10, even though we're not market farming anymore, I can use those 10 plots to improve my rotation even more and do even more cover cropping, so I have nice healthy soils when I do grow vegetables in that particular plot. So there is a lot of nothing here behind me, but that is about to change. As I mentioned, my transplants in the greenhouse are finishing off. Probably got another couple weeks left. So in the next couple weeks, we'll start putting a lot of those in the ground and showing you how we do that. The other thing that's about to change, or that has already changed, it is now the 1st of October around here, and the ideal time to plant cool season cover crops for us down here in South Georgia, zone 8B, that time is early to mid-October. So we added a bunch of new cool season cover crops to the site this year. Really excited about trying them out, some of these plots out here, and so we'll be showing you how we're going to get those in the ground as well. So today I wanted to take the chance to walk around all 10 plots and kind of give you a preview of what we got planned coming up in the next couple weeks worth of videos. So let's start out here in this area we call the Dream Garden, where we got 6 30 by 35 plots. This first plot here is where we're going to be putting our alliums. As you might know, we added a bunch of good onion varieties this year, so I'm going to be trialing a bunch of those varieties, those short day onion varieties. Going to be putting some elephant garlic in here, some leeks, and maybe even some chives. Now this doesn't always happen, but I do usually try to plant crops that have similar nutrient needs in the same space, because it just makes it easier to kind of feed everything. And so that's why we put all of our alliums in the same plot, all of our onions, garlic, chives, leeks, so forth. They all like plenty of water, like plenty of nitrogen, so it makes it easier to give them all what they need, because they all kind of need the same thing. So this area has been tilled after we mowed down that cover crop of sunflowers we had here, and we got some volunteer sunflowers popping up over there, a few little weeds here and there. We're going to come in with a heavy dose of compost on this plot and put it on here thick, at least 3 inches or so. We may cultivate before we do that, take care of those weeds, or that compost will just smother them out. So heavy compost in here, and then coming in with some alliums. Ideal planting date is going to be early November, but if we have some transplants or stuff ready before then, won't hurt to get it in a week or two early. And then moving over here to plot number 2 in the Dream Garden, this is where we had a big okra plot throughout late spring, all throughout the summer and into the fall a little bit. We've since come in with some loppers, chopped those down, left the roots in the soil there just because it's easier with them big okra plants. But this plot is going to get a cover crop. And so we're going to be planting a cover crop of Kodiak brown mustard here, doing a little process we call biofumigation. Now we've got several videos out there on this process and how it works, but basically when we have crops that are susceptible to nematodes, okra being one of those, tomatoes being another one, it's a good idea, if you have the time and the space, to follow that planting with a cover crop of mustard. You can use broadleaf mustard, just regular Florida broadleaf mustard. We have that on the site, and you can harvest some of it and then till the rest of it into the ground. This Kodiak brown mustard is not fitting to eat. It's pretty hot, but it also works really well as a biofumigant. So the spicier the mustard, the better it's going to work to suppress those harmful nematodes. So we let the cover crop grow up, get a lot of vegetation on it, chop it up, till it into the soil, and that whole breakdown process there gets rid of those bad guys. The third plot here is where our kind of failed fall tater experiment took place after Sally came through and dumped all that water and these things rotted. So here we have a pretty blank slate. I've got some herbs growing in the greenhouse. We got some, you know, brassicas, lettuce stuff. So this is going to be a food plot. I haven't quite determined how I'm going to arrange it here, but this is going to be one of my food plots this fall. So we're going to stack things in here. With fall planting, we usually put stuff on 3-foot rows. We're not going to plant carrots in here. That's what we planted last fall. So no carrots in here, but a lot of other cool weather crops. I'll probably end up mowing those zinnias down when we do get ready to plant this. I've enjoyed their beauty, but I'm gonna get them out of the way so we can make more room for some cool weather stuff here. And then this guy right here, where we have our tarp over this plot. We had our iron clay peas here in the summer as a cover crop. That tarp has done its job, doing its job, and we will soon pull this off and heavily compost it. I'm not gonna reveal what's underneath there yet. I'm not going to show you the magic of the tarp quite yet. You'll see that when we do that video. We're going to pull it off, and I'm going to try to do some slightly no-till stuff here. So I'm going to try to just throw a big load of compost on top of it and not till it. We'll see how that works. I feel like there's probably still a little bit of debris from those peas underneath that tarp. We will just see. But we're going to try that and kind of compare a no-till situation to a till situation here. We're going to put compost on both of them, but this one here, since it's been tarped, I think we can get away with not tilling it. We'll just have to see. Now, I should have mentioned when I was talking about doing that mustard cover crop earlier, we're not going to compost the plots that we're cover cropping. Just not worth it in my opinion. I'm only going to compost where I'm planning on putting vegetables there. So we're going to let the cover crop do its job of feeding and rehabbing the soil, you know, in those plots, and then where we're putting vegetables, we're going to come in with a heavy dose of our Gen Trash compost. And then the plots that are cover cropped, they'll be composted before next spring. Moving along, plot number 5 here in the Dream Garden, we just pulled up our peppers. They still looked all right. They just weren't making a whole lot of peppers. I don't know if this cool weather had something to do with it. They just weren't, you know, a good use of my space in the garden or in this plot at the current time. So this is going to be a cover crop plot. We heavily had this thing planted. Grew a lot of stuff here last fall as far as brassicas and stuff. So we're going to give this plot a break on the fall winter crops this year. And the cover crop we're going to be putting here is our Marvel chickpea that we just added. I've never grown those before, but I have grown pea cover crops plenty of times. They always treat my soil very well, so looking forward to trying those chickpeas right here. And for plot number 6, or our last plot here in the Dream Garden, we've just taken down some pretty tall sorghum Sudan grass. Now, I wasn't able to do this with my push mower. Had to use my ride mower, which doesn't have a mulching kit on it. But I was able to do a decent job of keeping all the debris kind of blowed inward in the plot, so I save all that good organic matter. And you can see a lot of that there. It just looks like kind of hay covering the ground. Nice weed suppression, and I'm going to till this in the next day or so. Add all that to the soil. Always helps condition the soil, adding all that organic matter and that good stuff. So like I said, this stuff was really tall. Got it chopped down. Had to run over it a couple times with the mower, but I figure 1 or 2 passes with a tiller and this guy will be ready to go. And this is another one that we farmed pretty heavy last fall throughout the winter with brassicas, beets. I think we even had some carrots here at one point in time. So we worked this one pretty hard last year. Going to give it a break this year. I'm going to plant a cover crop of our new Frosty Berseem clover. This clover is really good at fixing nitrogen. Does a great job of that. One of the best nitrogen fixing legumes out there. And as the name Frosty suggests, this stuff is really cold tolerant. Not that we need it down here in the deep south, but it can withstand single-digit temps. So this stuff should just be fine and dandy all throughout the winter months on into the spring when we get ready to use this plot again. Now I will admit I was exaggerating a little bit earlier when I acted like there's just nothing growing out here on my homestead. In this area we call the Dream Garden, there pretty much is nothing, as you saw. But we got 4 other plots where we do have some stuff growing and where we do have some more plans for other vegetables or cover crops. Let me show you those real quick. So in this big plot behind the Dream Garden, we've got our pole beans / runner beans looking pretty good there. We did a video planting those and did a video trellising those. We also planted some English peas on a video recently, and those guys, let me get down here and show you, are just starting to pop up there. You can see them popping up along that row there. We planted them pretty thick. I need to get in here. Once they get up a little taller, get in here with my single tine cultivator and kind of scuff that soil a little bit so I don't have any weed issues. Still working on finishing digging our sweet taters. This big, or the patch of green you see left here is the purple ones. Waiting on those. Those were planted a little later than the others. And I still got a row or 2 of Georgia Jets to get. So I'll be getting this hopefully within this week. Getting all that out of the way, and then we'll have a pretty good area here from where that wood line is all the way to where that English pea trellis is going to be to plant a cover crop. And I think in this area here I'm going to play around with some cocktails, maybe with our new forage cabbage or forage collards, and just doing some experimentation with some mixtures here, see if I can find one that I like better than the mixture I used last year. So last year over on the other side of the barn where I'm standing now, we did a cool season cover crop cocktail of Austrian winter peas, hairy vetch, and tillage or daikon radish, and it worked awesome. Even in our sandy soil, it did really, really, really good. The tillage radishes, even though they're kind of designed for harder soils, or they're more promoted for harder soils to break up, you know, that hard ground, they also work really well in sandy soils for scavenging nutrients way down from below. And then we had those peas and that vetch doing some nitrogen gathering for us. So I really, really like that mixture, and I would highly recommend it for any of you out there looking for a particular you know, combo to put together. But we got a lot of new cover crops that I suggested, and I want to try around with some new mixtures and see if I can find one that is as big of a home run as that one was last year. And then right behind the plot I just showed you, we've got this guy here where we've been doing our kind of chop and drop with the sorghum sudan grass. This has been mowed 3, maybe 4, I think just 3 times already, but it's coming back. It will get mowed 4 times before it's all over with, and still kicking along there. Still, you can see every time we mow it, just add more and more of that good stuff, just covering up that ground there, just like, you know, dropping good organic matter, almost like mulching the soil surface there, adding all that good stuff. And when we do eventually incorporate it in so we can plant something else here, it's going to be some good stuff there. So here we're going to do another cover crop. I farmed this one pretty hard last year, and we're going to come in here probably with another experimental cocktail. So that's what we'll do on these 2 plots that are close together. That guy I showed you a minute ago, and this guy, I'm going to play around with some mixtures, see if we can find one we really, really, really like. And then lastly, real quick, I'll show you these 2 guys, which you've already just seen one of them, where we're not changing anything in the near future. Got our Primus sweet corn here. It's looking a lot better since we healed it. Still working on solving that worm problem. A couple more weeks of the spinosad should take care of that. Our lettuce we transplanted on that back row there, it's looking really good, starting to grow some. Over here is a cover crop of sunflowers we planted several videos ago, mostly dwarf varieties here, and I can't remember which is which, but this is one variety here, and this variety stays really, really low to the ground. And then we got these guys here, which are relatively short but taller than the other 2 dwarf varieties. And then these guys here that are kind of in the middle there. And then these last 2 rows are taller varieties I planted on the back end. We got, I think, Santa Fe Sunset and our chocolate cherry sunflowers here on the end, which will get taller than the rest of these. But these are filling in nicely. I have had to make a couple passes through here with the wheel hoe, keep it clean between the rows, but happy with how those guys are looking. Haven't had to water them a whole lot. They've just been kind of kicking along, doing their thing. They'll be here for a little more longer, for a little while, till they start blooming, and they'll bloom for several weeks, and then they'll be done, and we'll mow it and then figure out what we're going to do next. So as of now, and this can always change, we're only using 3 of our 10 plots for what I call cool weather crops. We got the 1 plot we're going to put all alliums in, and those other 2 plots we're going to use for brassicas, lettuce, carrots, some radishes, just kind of hodgepodge of cool weather stuff. The rest of the plots are either going to be cover cropped, or we're just riding these warm season fall crops out until we have a first frost. What the extinguishing of my market farming operation has done is given me a lot more freedom to feed my soils, take better care of my soils, as opposed to just working the fire out of them. And that's why we're only growing cool season stuff in 3 plots, as opposed to last year when we were closer to 7 or 8 plots. So this is going to allow me to take care of my soils a lot better, do a lot more cover cropping, do a better management, do a better rotation system. So I'm not growing in any, if it's a plot that I grew in last fall or winter, it's not getting any vegetables in it this fall and winter. It's only getting a cover crop. And I'm going to try to strictly stay behind that every year. That way I have good rotation, and it's going to help my pest and disease issues long term. So I hope you enjoyed that little mini tour there to kind of give you an idea of what we'll be talking about, what we'll be doing on our upcoming videos as we go from Bayer and homestead to having all these plots planted with something, whether it be vegetables or cover crops. I'll put some links in the description below to all the cover crop varieties we talked about today, so you can go to our site and check those out. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give me a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell button so you get notified every time we come out with a new video. And if you did enjoy this one, check out these other 2 videos right here. I think you'll really enjoy those as well. We'll see you next time.